Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we give you this week way too many stories. In about 20 minutes or so, you'll reach out to us, creationstation@broward.org, to let us know what you think, or hit us up in the comments on Spotify, or hit us up with the anonymous survey that we have in our show notes. And today, thank you so much, Robert, for being here. Robert Alness from the Broward County Public Library Foundation. And you're doing it from the car. Thank you so much for stopping it on the way. At least you're not driving, so that's a good sign.
Nope. No, I parked. No, it was when I saw the time of it, it was one of those ask for forgiveness rather than permission. It's like I'm just gonna show up in the car. Then if Bob says no, then I won't do it. But I really want to do it.
This is an awesome thing. Give us the quick thing. Tell us all the cool stuff the foundation does, because you guys are amazing for me.
Of course, we're happy to. So the Broward Public Library Foundation, we're an independent 501c3 from the Broward County Library System, and our mission is to enhance the collections, services, and programs of the Broward County Library beyond the means of public funding. And so where the library is tax and county funded for much of the circulation, the services, some of the programs and things that you see, but not everything is funded that way. So the foundation comes in and we help put on like the big children's literacy festivals, Storybook Festival, Children's Book Fest. We also fund the newer initiatives. So Bob and his Creation Station crew are doing a creator in residence program that we're funding, which is really cool. And they're bringing scientists in to do programs with children and families and really have hands-on learning. And so that is really what the foundation is about. It's about building a supplemental source so that the library can continue to meet the needs of our community and really kind of be a step ahead so that we're there when the community needs us before they even know they're going to need us.
Yeah, it is an awesome thing. It is a huge help between the foundation and the Broward County Library Friends. You guys do a lot of work to help us pull off all the extras that we couldn't do without. So thank you.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. And I'll just add one more to do it. So that if you guys want to learn more, go to bplfoundation.org.
Oh, yeah. We'll put that in the show notes for everybody too. So we've got a pile of stories today. Some of these are just crazy. And trust me, everyone, you want to go hit the show notes and click the links because these stories get complicated. Number one, we talked about this back on episode 209, about, we kind of teased, this person wants to sue about copywriting their vibe and other people violating it. It turns out some judges actually think this is a legal thing and is allowed to go to court. Tell me, Robert.
I mean, Bob, we're in a new age of capitalism and commerce, right? There is no denying that social media is a business venture for some people. And as ridiculous as it sounds, business ventures are protected under copyright law. And so if this is this person's sole source of income or primary source of income, then, what's really the difference between that and like a small business that's copyrighted their logo or their brand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just wonder how much of that can you, I put the picture up here. One of the things they're using in here, they were both at this particular store. They both took this particular picture of their shoes near the floor mat. And I'm just like, this just isn't quite, but like you said, it's a new world and we're going to figure out, it's going to go through the court system and be decided what's happening and what's going to go on with this. So,
yeah, and I think when reading through the article a little deeply, what they really hone in on is not just the vibe. It was the level in which the person who's being sued took their duplication of the other person who has more followers and a more monetized social media aspect than the other person. So it seems like they're trying to ride those coattails, which is a business practice, which is illegal, when you look at traditional businesses. So
Yeah,
it's there.
and this
Just
came from a professional technology law blog. So this is not just some
mhm.
crazy person mentioning things out here. We tried to follow the real stories for you. So we've got that. One of the other crazy stories in the news is the drones. We had to mention this. It is not Rudolph. There's no reindeer up there, folks. And 90% or more of these sightings are just so far. It's like that War of the Worlds like craze type thing
Yeah.
where people, and by the way, War of the Worlds and New Jersey. So yeah, I get the references. But so we put a picture up here of what an airplane's lights look like to compare for people. So you can see, okay, this is where the different types and colors and different flashing rates of lights are. And here's one that shows, scrolling on down, this is what drones look like. So you can tell the difference. And hopefully you can tell the difference in between what a star looks like and the drone headlights are too. Robert, tell me.
Well, I'll tell you this. It is the Roswell UFO incident 2.0. So it's happening. It's happening, right? This is something unknown. It's surprising people, and whether or not the government is sharing all the information, I don't know. It also, if it was something that needed like a little more secrecy, then the federal government is not going to share, and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what, like we said,
We
like
have
how why
secret clearances
security.
for a reason.
Hmm. Yep, yep. So it is. Yeah, I'm just waiting for, because when you read the article, kind of dig a little deeper, and then you go into
Yeah.
some of the past articles and look around, you see that this has been happening for a very long time. That drone occurrences and interfering in airspace, especially around like bases, is not an uncommon thing since they've been in existence.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's certainly a concern when you think about
Yeah.
national security and how we keep, like creative ways in which
Mm-hmm.
people could infiltrate our space and our life.
Yeah.
And,
And
you
we
know,
and we covered it on this show when some drones shut down Heathrow a few years ago. And it's just and also it's not like it has to be some nefarious state actor. A drone like what's in this picture here is only like a couple $1,000s. Now you're supposed to have a license from the FAA to fly it, but you're responsible for knowing that and going to go get your license and before you start flying these things. So
right. Which I'm not even sure everyone might know. Maybe they'll tell you when they sell it, but
yeah, no, there's
we'll
a
see.
form. We bought one for we didn't buy one of the full blown ones like this, but we have one for the
Mhm.
library, the smaller ones. And yeah, they make you they give you the requirements like here, this is what you're supposed to go do.
Hmm.
But here's another weird story for you, Robert.
Let's hear it.
Have you ever wanted to taste virtual reality?
No. That's a no. No, I can't.
So this is a story they have invented, and this is, again, we only cover things that really come out. This is an actual device you can go purchase that you stick in your mouth when you're in virtual reality, and now you can taste things in virtual reality.
I sure I can see the trying to have like a more immersive environments. It's just, you know, it's sometimes because I'm interested in all sorts of things like research and things on all
Mhm.
sorts of scientific levels. But I always like to ask questions like, well, but why? Like
Yeah.
what's the great need for this? I just I suppose, but with this technology, it's not like you can go into like a cooking class and then you can
Mhm.
taste your like the food
Yeah.
of the professor. I mean,
Yep.
maybe I guess eventually, maybe something like that. But
It's actually close. The tasting buds, it uses a special gel in there that also triggers your aromatics for your smell as well. Um, the one, it lasts only about an hour, so it's not like it's going to be a
yeah,
long-term experience thing. The one that I thought of, going right back to our drone discussion, was more military things. I easily could imagine if you're in VR and doing combat prep and things like they do with some military exercises nowadays, and if you had this to simulate that smell and taste of what it's like to be out there and have that, similar to when I was a much younger person and I was in the gas chamber in the Marine Corps, as you go through your practices and you really experience what it's like, this could make it much more of a closer experience, not just for those things, but for, like you mentioned, cooking and all these other ideas. It's a cool idea. It's just like, wow, this is weird.
I could see practical applications for this when it's gotten much better, but in this case, they're talking about like a lollipop flavored one that you have to manually lick, and so I think we're just so far off from what could be likely the real practical usage of this. Because you're right, in embedded experiences to better prepare people to respond to natural disasters or to respond to
everything,
gas leaks, things like that, where they might be able to hear, taste, and smell it.
It's craziness. We're almost in the future.
Almost there. We're going to be there faster than we know it.
Yep. I got one other cool, weird, crazy story here. Did you know about these whales? The only reason I knew. Okay, so here's the thing. It is the spade-toothed whale. These whales are so rare. We have never seen one alive. They've only seen 9 of them, and they've all been dead. The one just recently, though, ended up on the shores in New Zealand, and they were able to do a vivisection of it. It's not actually an autopsy like the story says. It's a vivisection when it's an animal. Thank you, anonymous person out there on the web who helped me.
Very cool.
And they discovered it has 9 stomachs in it. It's just crazy. It's an omnivore. It does all these. I was just like, wow. And I'm like, huh.
You're right. It is.
Yeah. Tell me.
It's surprising to me because you hear about finding new species a lot, or like these like hard to find species, but typically you're talking about bugs, arthropods, microorganisms, single cell, things that are like small, so it's like really hard to find. But this whale is big. Yeah. So it's got to be hiding in the depths of the ocean, I assume, like Mariana Trench type stuff, right?
Mariana, not that trench, but yes, exactly. I mean, down in the trenches around Antarctica, because it's all in the southern Arctic Ocean down there. So the Antarctic Oceans and all the stuff down there in the southern Pacific. So it blew my mind. It's a fun little story. Like, wow. If you've got kids out there who are really into animals and dinosaurs and everything, point this out to them, because I'm going to bet you score some points showing them something they never knew about.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, we have 2 last stories. One of them, you were barely going to touch base on this one. How long did I distract you with this story, Robert?
A long time. This one took me down a rabbit hole of all sorts of different like research.
Yeah. So this is an article from The Verge, one of their key writers, on how to disappear. And what they mean is it is stuff that he's written. He knows he's written. He has copies of it, but it no longer exists on the internet because the sites that he wrote for have gone away, or other places are like, this is the only page on their site that still has it. And even things like the Wayback Machine and Internet Archive, where you can find some things, don't have everything. And this is a really important article. And as Robert just said, you can go down a rabbit hole on this one and spend a long time chasing down some of these other things that he references. So we're not going to get a chance to cover it all, but this is a very library story of we're losing stuff that we would want to archive and keep track of and do this stuff. And instead it's just like, boom.
Yep. just gone. And it is interesting to think about, because you think about the internet, and it's almost this like ethereal conception, right? It just exists out there.
Yeah.
And so the content that exists out there is, you think, well, it's there. Like, I'll always be able to find it, or it must be stored somewhere. But it can if the servers go down, if someone doesn't renew their website, and then they don't have it backed up, and then that content is poof,
Yeah,
gone just like that.
I know. It's insane.
It is.
Go.
Say it's why projects like the African American Libraries archiving the Black Webs are so important. So that is for those listeners who don't know, we have a library called ARLIC, African American Research Library and Cultural Center, and they're working on archiving websites and records from African American and Black content creators.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool project, really important. It's exactly something like this.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about the idea that, and by the way, that's why this is an important library thing. Even podcasts like this that are out there on Amazon or Apple or Spotify or whoever you're listening to this from, or YouTube, we have all this archived and backed up. If any of those places, if YouTube just blew up and goes away tomorrow, we still have all these archived because we pay attention to this kind of stuff. And the one thing here, the article that I was like, oh, I really should not be clicking on this link, and then I did it anyway, was Northwestern University estimates 1/3 of all local news sites are going to be gone by the next 12 months.
Yeah, it is. You hear a lot about that. They're calling them news dead zones, where these small, mom and pop or small shop news outlets that are just reporting on remote areas or rural areas, or even just really hyper,
here in Broward County,
unique areas.
Yeah. Hyper local news is very important, and go do something about that. And if you're a younger person listening to this, go figure out a way to save this for us, or save us from the robots. But that's a different issue. Now, our final story. There's actually 3 different links for you to follow and go chase down some more rabbit holes on this. What do you use to message people, Robert?
I use either Facebook Messenger or just my messaging app on my Android.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
The messaging app. Yeah, exactly. I know. So the messaging app on your Android device or on your iOS device are both bad, because neither of them are fully encrypted to everyone that you talk to on the platforms. They can be partially encrypted, just like Facebook Messenger is partially encrypted, but not fully encrypted. And if you've been following the news and this kind of thing for a number of years, you'll know that there's a lot of cases where the FBI, different government agencies have said, no, we don't want people to be using encryption. Only the bad guys do. Or we want a backdoor into it. And everybody's like, no, you can't have a backdoor, because if you give a backdoor to one person, that just means there's a backdoor anybody can find. Now they're saying, oh yeah, wait, everybody's got to use encryption. For a couple of reasons. One primary one that changed a lot of minds in the public sector was there's a huge data breach in multiple telephone operators' database resources, including the one that is supposed to be encrypted, where it stores all the information about people, like just in case we need to get to it. And turns out they stored it, and bad.
Yep.
It's a quick story here that from NPR. It's just a 2-minute little podcast blurb to hear it, to see what the best practices are. Tell me, Robert, did it make you want to change anything in your life?
Well, I mean, what stands out kind of most to me was that WhatsApp is, because I use WhatsApp too, but it's mostly for like my little groups, different organizations I'm involved in. But that WhatsApp is fully encrypted, which is really cool. And WhatsApp is super accessible, really easy to use. And so my first thought was, okay, well, I can always turn to WhatsApp. Because I do remember this coming about, I don't know, maybe it was a year or two ago or something, where they were talking about this encryption. And I tried to look up, okay, how do I encrypt my messages on my phone and through my messenger? And it seemed like an ordeal, like a process. And then the other person had to have the same encryption system, or like, because my wife Kayla uses iPhone, and so it's like it became a whole thing. And I said, no, this is too much work. Too long didn't read the instructions here. I'm done with this. But WhatsApp, it feels really accessible, so I'm really happy about that.
And you're right on target with what a lot of the global South, a lot of the rest of the world is already doing, is using WhatsApp as their main messaging and as their way of getting in touch with authorities or helping each other out and doing all those things in times of disaster. Because if you have access to the internet, you have access to WhatsApp, whether it's by data or by Wi-Fi or by whatever. So people are out there building their groups, doing their things. In fact, for two-factor authentication, which is something everybody should be doing, you can get your two-factor authentication stuff sent to you on WhatsApp or on Signal, which is a great standalone app if you don't want to use WhatsApp because you don't like the idea that Meta is involved in it. Signal is an amazing one that I use with my friends to take care of those things. Go check it out, use it, do it. All of your two-factor can come to these encrypted sites now so that nobody can intercept your stuff that's just coming to your basic text message. I'd like my bank to move that way.
Yep. And if you're thinking, because it's one of those things where it's like, well, I don't have anything to hide. You're like, what do I care?
Yeah.
If they get my information, it's like, well, that's true. And so you don't really need to worry about that necessarily part of it. But you also think about like how much information you share just about your personal life. How many photos you send of your partners, your children, your family, that those things can be taken and can be used. Or if whoever's trying to hack you is trying to get into your information and they can gather enough personal information about you that's just sent over time, then they'll be able to get past your, your security codes, things like that, your sexy questions. So,
yep. And for anybody out there who is like, wait, Bob, only the bad guys use encryption. Yeah. I put an article there for you. You can go read it. It talks all about how drug dealers are using WhatsApp, Telegram, Messenger, etc., that are encrypted to do their things. And yeah, it's not all positive out there. But
no. Something really cool for those. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of places, but here in Broward for sure, I know that there is an FBI task force that's active here in the South Florida area, where they are putting out the cheat codes as they can about here's the symbols they're using for each of the type of drugs. Here's the kind of code words you're hearing. Here's the mess, the decoder for how they're going to meet up or they're buying or they're looking for. And they do public forums and trainings for them a lot. I can't think of any other information to share with anyone about it, but I'm sure if you do a little Google search, you can pull it up.
And they do this all over the country and all over the world. We have listeners. I always tease, we're big in Belgium. More than 2% of our listeners are in Belgium. It's weird. That's great. Awesome. I love it. Yeah. No. We've got a following in Europe. So, and people there, your own governments are doing this also, and they're using WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram. Very few governments are on Telegram. It's mostly Signal or WhatsApp as their encrypted way of communicating with constituents. So go pay attention to all this. Thank you so much for taking the time out, Robert, to be here and do this afternoon.
Thank you for inviting me, Bob. I was really happy to be here.
It was awesome. If there's a story or someone you want to see followed up, drop us that line, creationstation@broward.org, or hit us up on that survey link in the show notes, and we will try to get them on the show. Everybody have a great week. We'll
Bob,
see
do I have
anything? Tell me.
Do I have a moment to do one more last little pitch? Okay.
Tell me.
Just so, because we had a story, USA Today, just for those news junkies out there, the Library Foundation, we are having Susan Page, Washington Bureau Correspondent for USA Today, great news person, great author, coming into town for an event, Lit Lunch, on February 21st. And tickets are on sale now, bplfoundation.org/litlunch.
It'll be awesome. Thank you, everybody. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye.